What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video. And today we're going to be rocking it out with another mock draft. So this is pre-Senior Bowl content because next week we're going to be adjusting it, seeing how everybody did. I do have virtual access to the Senior Bowl, so we'll be seeing all those files very soon. Of course, if you guys like this stuff, if you guys like mock drafts, like my opinions, feel free, join the community, like, comment, subscribe. Links down in the description for Twitter, Instagram, Discord, all that. Hit me up. Even down in the comment section, talk to me too. Love being able to have some good football discourse down there. And without further ado, let's kick this off. Also, we have a 4K by draft day goal. I think we can beat it. We can do it. So let's work together on that one. Starting off with the number 1 overall pick. Bottom line, I'm going to be doing Evan Neal here. So Ikem Ekwonu is getting hype right now. He has a plus 500 odds to be the number 1 overall pick, jumping from plus 20,000. I cannot believe that that's true. That might be smoke screens by some teams to just try to get the Jaguars to draft Ikem so that Evan Neal falls. But there's nobody who has the height, size, and athleticism ratio, as well as the whole production and play style that Evan Neal does. There's nobody who has anywhere close to that type of talent in the tackle class. And there are, like Ikem Ekwonu and Charles Cross, 2 guys who are very solid tackles. So very happy to see Evan Neal going number 1 overall. Again, people might say go Aidan Hutchinson, go KT. And I always say this, look at what you can get round 2. If you want to do that, you can even trade up for Travon Walker, which we did in the last mock draft. Get Jermaine Johnson, probably not. Myjai Sanders, Kingsley Enagbare, Arnold Ebiketie, even like guys like Boye Mafe, you can trade back and get. There are phenomenal talents in the second round for that position. Offensive line, not so much. I'm pretty sure that should be a lock. Number 2, now this is going to be a hot contention pick because people are not factoring in interviews enough. And I'm not saying that Aidan Hutchinson isn't good at interviews. I'm saying Kayvon Thibodeaux is arguably the smartest guy that you will talk to in terms of what he's coming from as like an edge player. Watch the Joel Klatt interview with Kayvon Thibodeaux. Granted, Joel Klatt talks for 98% of the time, but when you listen to KT talks, his vocabulary, his comfortability speaking at a very high IQ level, it's going to make people fall in love with him. And I think he fits a little better with Detroit. The problem with getting Aidan Hutchinson is his ceiling is much lower than KT. Now, I still possibly have Aidan Hutchinson above KT, but with a team like the Detroit Lions, you kind of want to take your shot on somebody who could actually be a game changer. And Aidan, I think my comp to him is Trey Hendrickson, who has been phenomenal. And again, I'm not trying to knock Aidan Hutchinson here. I'm saying Kayvon Thibodeaux is a smart-ass man. Again, went to Oaks Christian, represent. That is a school that's top 5 in the country in English. Like, that is a school that really emphasizes you being able to use your intellect. And KT has an extremely high-level IQ. He has the moxie. He has the production. He also has those high-level plays. 3 to 4 plays a game can really change the course of 1, just a single game, but 2, it could be the turning point of a season if you get a strip sack here, a strip sack there. Therefore, I'm going to be going Kayvon Thibodeaux out of Oregon. I think that the Lions going after a safe pick with Aidan Hutchinson, it probably could be Aidan, but to me, I think that going after KT makes sense when you factor in his testing numbers, because he's going to be a freak at the combine, as well as just the interview process. This guy is brilliant. So I think his ceiling's a lot higher. We've still seen consistent production. A lot of people have him over Aidan Hutchinson still. Also, he doesn't have that dud game against Georgia, which kind of is just a testament to how damn good Aidan is. So at number 3, I think the Texans want to go offensive line, but you're not going to allow Aidan Hutchinson to fall past 3. No way. Therefore, I'm having a trade up here. And this trade is going to be with the Jets, who are definitely going to be looking for somebody to be an elite pass rusher. I think, again, when you look at it, the Texans need offensive line like it's nobody's business, right? Like, you're potentially shipping off Laramie Tunsil. I don't believe in Titus Howard in the long run. I really don't. So, again, this pick kind of just makes sense. You're going to be trading back for a 3rd round pick. Again, that is logical. You're flip-flopping 1 pick to not get just anybody. It's like Aidan Hutchinson's amazing, right? You could have teams like the Giants trying to trade up to that spot, offering more, but you have zero guarantee of getting Ikem Ekwonu at that point. So I think this one solidifies your goal as the Texans of being able to select the guy that you want, but also the Jets getting Aidan Hutchinson. I love it. Again, it is a hot take to see Aidan Hutchinson fall to 3, and it's kind of ridiculous to say that it's a bad thing for Aidan to fall to 3. It just really depends on your rankings of them. And again, I think that KT just has a brilliant mind, and his IQ is through the roof, and the ceiling is the highest in the class at the position. So that's going to be a big contributing factor there. Number 4, the Texans are going Ikem Ekwonu. Again, you can put this order in any way you want, but for this, I think that is the right move. New York Giants on the board. Now, I thought about this for a while. Brian Daboll is the head coach. So we're going to see a little bit later in this mock draft exactly what I mean by this, but there's a connection, and you guys will see. You guys will see a connection because I have this planned out in my head. Granted, this is all live, but this pick is going to be Kyle Hamilton. Is it a spicy pick? 100%. But one, you think about the Bills. You look at them, they had a 3 safety set. You have Poyer and Micah Hyde, but they also had DeMar Hamlin in there. He played a very big role as a sub package. I guess you call it sub package, as a sub safety. And I think that Kyle Hamilton is going to be, 1, an all-star, but 2, he'll pair up with Xavier McKinney, and Julian Love's on a 1-year contract, or he has 1 year left. I think that you go after best player available. Kyle Hamilton is on a different level. And again, you guys will see why I'm not drafting a tackle at this spot. I am drafting one at this spot, however. Charles Cross on Mississippi State going at number 6. Again, you will see. Speaking of a guy who I think is Brian Daboll-esque, like he just screams what the Bills would do, Tyler Linderbaum out of Iowa. So right now you have your interior offensive lineman and you have a safety, right? I think that's going to be a good way to start. You guys, again, you will see where I'm going with this. Number 8 with the Falcons on the board. I think that this is the most brilliant move they could do. Pass rush is a big vacancy on this team. George Karlaftis is even graded better than my top 2 edges. So yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of George Karlaftis. He can really bring some oomph to that interior. He and Grady Jarrett would just be nasty there. Nasty on that interior. You can use him outside as well. I just love the versatility of him. Leaving the Broncos at number 9. And this one is going to be Derek Stingley Jr. out of LSU. So here's the reason why. People will say, go quarterback, go quarterback, go quarterback. There's Kenny Pickett there. There's Malik Willis, Matt Corral, Sam Howell. I will say this. The talent gap between whoever's going to be taking QB1 and the talent gap between whoever's going to be there closer to the end of the first and into the second, I don't think is that large. I don't think that talent gap's large versus you can get Derek Stingley and Patrick Surtain paired up. Yes. I have a huge boner for that. Like, I just love that idea. You know, again, this could be a no-fly zone. You have Nathaniel Hackett there. I think that he can develop an offensive player very well. And this is a way to pretty much surefire that your defense is going to be good for a long period of time. So I just love the idea. Number 10 for the Jets, we are going to be going a unique route. Kenyon Green out of Texas A&M. Now, I think this is a brilliant move. Like, again, I'm going to be tooting my own horn here, but you think about it. He can play guard in the short term because that's a position of legit need, but also you're looking for someone to play tackle. I have him as a first-round offensive tackle, and when you look at the rest of the talent that could be that guard tackle hybrid and can actually play tackle, because I love Tyler Smith, there's nobody even close to Kenyon Green. So getting somebody like Kenyon Green to be a fit on this roster, that is going to be your best case scenario. So I think that is a brilliant thing to do. But let's continue here and let's look at number 11 with the Washington football team. I think they go after a quarterback. Kenny Pickett, again, I'm trying to keep this more realistic than anything. He's going to probably be the first quarterback off the board. Granted, he didn't get his hands measured at the Senior Bowl. We'll see how he plays because that's going to be a big determining factor. But Kenny Pickett, regardless, he is a very pro-ready quarterback. This is a team that if it gets its head and ass wired together, we will see some greatness. By the way, tomorrow, we're going to see a new logo for them. So awesome. I'm very excited to see that. But Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh is going to be the guy. Number 12 for the Vikings. I think y'all know where this is going to be going as well. That's going to be Sauce Gardner. I think he's an excellent fit. He's an excellent player. The secondary needs help. You know, you're pretty much bereft of legit talent on the outside. So getting Sauce, who's a lockdown corner, lockdown, arguably the best wide receiver in the country this year, that is exactly what you would be looking for. Browns, I thought about trading down from this spot, but when I think about it, it's like you can't find a team that's wanting to move up for a quarterback. Unlike you could talk about the Steelers, but you're not going to do an in-division trade there. I'm not going to be pulling the trigger for the Saints. I do think Jameis runs it back one more time. They could franchise tag him and see how he does, because he was doing very well for the Saints, right? And this is a very weak division now. Tom Brady officially retired today. This would be a phenomenal thing for Jameis to step in and be able to play back at a high level. I think the Saints would be a great position for him. I can't see any teams trying to move up for a QB. So with that in mind, I think the best thing to do is to secure your wide receiver position. That's going to be Garrett Wilson out of the Ohio State University. Definitely lock him up. I have him comped to Keenan Allen or worse, Odell Beckham Jr. He fits both very well in the slot as well as on the boundary. That's phenomenal. And I don't mean like worse Odell. I meant slower Odell Beckham Jr. So correction on my behalf, but I think the guy is just phenomenal. Like a really good wide receiver. He will probably be here because of those testing numbers, probably not being up there with the Jamar Chase type level of athleticism. Regardless, really good after the catch, really good at the catch point, and good enough athleticism to remain open. So I love Garrett Wilson. I know a lot of other people do as well, and he fits perfectly with what this system is desperate for. Number 14 with the Ravens. We're going to bring the connection, Michigan, D.C., as well as Odafe Owe. Going to bring on David Ojabo out of Michigan. I could see him going to the Browns because the Browns might want to play defense against the Ravens getting their all-star player. But again, that was something that I played around with in my head. Number 15 for the Eagles. Whew. So Howie Roseman is the guy who you guys are going to end up hating per usual, because Howie either does a phenomenal job or a horrific job, right? There's not really much in between. I'm going to say this right now. This is not what I would do mock draft. I put a little bit of what I would do in it, but it's mainly saying this is what the Eagles are going to do. I will say this. When you look at draft history, when you also look at the depth of the class, linebacker and corner are not positions where the Eagles draft. Like the Eagles don't draft corners very high. Then linebacker has been drafted in the first since 1985. You passed on Micah last year. I don't want to rub it in anymore, but there's legitimate talent that you guys have passed on because you don't draft linebacker in the first. And it's not like you've changed who's drafting. And I think that with the depth of linebacker in this class, where you can get somebody who is arguably a mid-second in the third, even like in the mid-third, you can get someone who is worth usually a mid-second in most drafts. That's okay to pass on. And people will go crazy because they want Nakobe Dean. It's not who I want, who I'm going to draft. I put my twist on it to make sure that the scheme fits and everything, but it is who I think will be drafted, and somebody who has a lot of intrigue, who fits a big need for this team, and is going to get a lot of hype if he tests out right, is right here, Treylon Burks out of Arkansas. The idea of Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, I think Howie Roseman's going to want to correct the past when he went JJ Arcega-Whiteside, and he's going to want to get his DK. So I think that's going to be a phenomenal choice for the team. They need a big, they need someone to get the ball in their hands when Jalen Hurts needs to throw the ball. And the guy, again, Deebo Samuel is going to be jacking up this dude's draft stock. This is a perfect location for him as well. Again, you get the ball out of Jalen Hurts' hands. You also give safeties to think something about Treylon instead of going after Devontae Smith. Just relax, because I know that the hate will be coming for taking Treylon Burks instead of, well, actually, I know you guys like it, but for the other picks as well, just keep in mind, this is Howie Roseman drafting, and I'm making sure the pick is good. The position is Howie Roseman. The pick is me. 16, I think the Eagles, again, they've addressed edge in the first round before. I think they do it again. Travon Walker, phenomenal player. I think that he would be a very solid Eagle. Could be the pick. Somebody who I cannot stop thinking about as a perfect fit for the Eagles is my favorite per the value edge player in this draft, Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State. I mean, this guy is just an absolute animal. I would dare put him in my top 10. I love this guy more than anything. So I love Jermaine Johnson to death. He's going to be such a good fit. Obviously, Montez Sweat is, I think, the only edge you legitimately have left on your roster that obviously will make an impact. Jermaine Johnson at his weight could also play multiple roles. I love him. I absolutely love him. His burst, his acceleration, as well as his just technique in general. It is phenomenal. I love it. Number 17 with the Chargers. You could go a multitude of routes here. You go Travon Walker. You could go guys like Kingsley and Nagbear, Arnold Ebiketie. You could even go linebacker here, Devin Lloyd, Nakobe Dean. You could, of course, go the position where I think is BS, Jordan Davis. I'm not going to do that. So, and again, you guys can, of course, talk to me about it in the comment section below. Bottom line, I don't think Jordan Davis should be a first rounder, and I don't think he will, because I think the NFL values guys who can play 100% every snap. I think of it as like the Jamarcus Russell effect, where if you don't have the drive to be 100% of the time, it's a big red flag. And I think a lot of people are going to realize that. However, regardless of that, Andrew Booth is a phenomenal corner. He's going to test out very well. He is going to also have the hype from him playing very well at the end of the season. So those combined means that he should be worth a top 12 pick, right? Like this guy, again, if you maximize his potential, he's going to be phenomenal. Could Trent McDuffie fit better in the scheme? Absolutely. But sometimes screw the scheme. You got to get the best player available. This guy is a steal at this point. Again, there's nothing wrong with having safety help over the top for Andrew Booth. He's so smooth with his hips. I love it. Number 18, we have the Saints on the board, and I'm going to be picking up Jameson Williams. People act like he's going to fall out of the first because he had an ACL tear. George Pickens came back during the year for it. Like, come on, guys. We all know Jameson Williams he developed a lot over the season, and he started making separation with his routes. And when he got locked up versus Sauce Gardner, he boosted his draft stock. And you know why? Because since he couldn't go deep, he made it work in a different way than what we all thought of him as, just this deep threat who gets the ball and is able to outrun everybody. He was able to make progressions throughout the entire year in terms of developing his route running, developing his separation skills, and his release package. That is phenomenal. And again, he was able to produce in a different fashion than what we thought he could. So he just proved to be more well-rounded. A team like the Saints definitely needs that. Have Jameis come back, run it back one more time, and see what happens when you can get Michael Thomas and Jameson Williams on the field. That's going to be a nasty, nasty duo. And the Eagles are on the board. Honestly, since I've been talking, I've been thinking about a trade back partner here because I'm going to be going safety. Okay, so you guys know that I think that Jaquan Brisker is just a beast. And again, for people who don't understand this draft class or who haven't even studied it, which is okay. I mean, again, it's kind of our job to study it for you. This class has two strong safeties in it that are actually legitimate talents. That's Jaquan Brisker, Lewis Cine. It used to have Jordan Battle. It used to have guys like, Brandon Joseph tried to become a little bit bigger. Those guys, those two decided to return. So if they were in this class, I'd 100% be on board with targeting a different position. The problem is, you go to the second round, I don't think Lewis Cine gets past 33. I don't, especially since 34, since the Lions are desperate for safety help, especially the strongest safety position. You pass on this, guess who gets Jaquan Brisker? The Dallas Cowboys. So I am sure as hell not going to be doing that. As well as I think that the Vikings could probably nab up Lewis Cine Lewis Cine. That's on me. It's Lewis Cine, not Cine. Lewis Cine before he gets to the Eagles. You desperately need a strong safety. Anthony Harris, he hasn't been like an all-star, but two, he's not going to return, right? He probably wants to go to some place where he could win a chip or something, get some extra value that way. Jaquan Brisker is the dude for this team. Also, doesn't he feel like an Eagle? Doesn't he? He actually feels like a Philadelphia Eagle. I love him. And I think that he's going to be great. You can also play some linebacker reps, but again, relax. We're going to get a linebacker for y'all. And also, in terms of corners, you guys have been doing a lot more corners in free agency and then the later rounds of the draft. Think of like Avonte Maddox and stuff. rather than doing it here. So again, thinking of draft history, draft philosophy, that isn't a bad thing to do, especially with a loaded corner class, especially with a loaded linebacker class. Steelers are on the board, and I had a couple routes I was thinking about going here. Devin Lloyd, Nakobe Dean, certainly in that option range, right? These are guys who probably should be around the spot. I think quarterback is the place they go. And when you look at all the talents on the board, you still have Sam Howell, who everybody tries to shit on Sam. I don't know why. The guy, for one, is 2 years younger than Kenny Pickett. Like, if he's 2 years from now, I think he'll be a little bit better than Kenny Pickett is right now. But he's young, but he's also a lot bigger, right? I think he's like around that 215-pound range. And he also has a really big arm. There's a lot of positive plays. He lost 4 of his biggest weapons of his entire career and then had to make it up with just Josh Downs, who I love. I love Josh Downs. I'm just saying Sam Howell is getting a bad rap, and people just try to knock him down for some reason. I don't know. Malik Willis could certainly be a good option here, but I think Sam Howell is going to be the guy for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm going to lock him in. But of course, I'm not going to throw any more shade at this linebacker class. The Patriots are here, and you can look at the wide receiver room. I can't see any of these guys, for one, being a Patriot. Chris Olave, I could, but he is kind of a carbon copy of what you already have there with guys like Jacoby Myers and stuff. So he feels like a guy that the Patriots pick up in the 7th round of free agency anyways. Not disrespecting Chris by saying he's that talent. I'm saying that the Patriots get guys who perform of the level of Chris Olave. You're not providing anything new. That's the bottom line. Jahan Dotson would be a great fit for this team. I'm not going to have him that high, especially above guys like Drake London and Chris Olave, but Drake London just doesn't feel like a Patriot to me. Just doesn't. So for this, I'm going to show some love to the linebacker room. You guys have been looking for a Dante Hightower replacement for a while now. Devin Lloyd is an all-around linebacker who can really just level up this defense. You know, there's a lot of guys on this defense that play a very good role, but on their own, they aren't as talented as the whole defense is. This guy is extremely talented. His coach loves him, saying he's the best player he's ever coached. This guy is an absolute all-star. I love him to death. So next, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. And there's a lot of routes you can go here as well. Nakobe Dean being one of them. I think that'd be a phenomenal choice. Again, you could go after someone like DeMarvin Leal on your squad. I don't think so. I really don't. You could go after wide receiver. Chris Olave would be a very good selection. However, I think that with basically the only real effective corner on your team leaving, also losing your first round pick in David Arnett, it doesn't help. You are bereft of a true corner one. Trent McDuffie is a solid guy. Kyer Elam, solid. Roger McCreary has been consistent and he's been very talented. I think he's a great fit on the team. I'm going to be taking him here. Roger McCreary out of Auburn. Again, you need somebody to be a true leader of that secondary. This guy can come in and make an impact day one. And you need someone who can be able to cover guys like Tyreek Hill and Mecole Hardman. This is a guy who could do that. Number 23. So this needs to be an edge pick since obviously the corner pick is off the board. I'm going to be going Travon Walker out of Georgia. I love this guy. He's so good and he has so much room to grow. You know, you can use him on the outside. You can use him in coverage even, and you can use him on the inside too. The guy's just an absolute baller. I love Travon Walker. I honestly think he probably could have stayed and then been a top 10 pick, but hey, this guy is phenomenal. I love Travon Walker. Let's continue on with the Dallas Cowboys. This is as low as I'll ever see Nakobe Dean go. The guy is absolutely dominant. I could see him going in there and playing a big role the way that LVE is supposed to play, a way that Jalen Smith was supposed to play. And with Micah Parsons going to be transitioning more, hopefully, towards an edge linebacker hybrid, which he is, but hopefully you guys use him a little bit more in that role. You will need somebody who can also blitz, who can also cover. He's going to be a perfect fit for this team. I know y'all love that. There's no need to explain anymore. Buffalo Bills. So this pick, I mean, I've just been waiting to take Chris Olave somewhere. This is a perfect spot for him to go. A guy who is an uber buttery smooth route runner. Like, I just love how this guy runs routes. Phenomenal route runner, good separator, can push the ball deep as well. He and Gabriel Davis would be a very good pairing for the future. Add him with Stephon Diggs. Sign me up any day of the week. Yes, you guys can use some extra help in the run game. There are guys in this draft. Remember this, fans. there are more than just one round in this draft. So, and also we're doing 3 rounds. So you get to see how this round develops. But Chris Olave out of the Ohio State University is going to be the pick. Number 26 for the Tennessee Titans. It doesn't seem like you guys are in the right spot to be able to just calm down and reload the franchise to be able to just take off and get to the Super Bowl again. There's a big piece missing. There is. And I think you guys know what that big piece is. It's something that all the quarterbacks, especially now that they're in the Super Bowl, at that point had been in a Super Bowl or are going to be in a Super Bowl, except for one. Well, 2. So that's going to be Jimmy G. Well, actually, no, Jimmy G was even in 1. Shit. So it's going to be Ryan Tannehill. And then I'm forgetting the other guy who was in there. But regardless, Ryan Tannehill is the big choker of the playoffs. I mean, you think about it. I saw a meme where it's like him during the regular season is Titans Tannehill, but during the playoffs, he's Miami Dolphins Tannehill. It's true. It's true. The team lost against the Jets. Again, the same thing with the Bengals somehow. God only knows how that happens. But you need someone who could actually run this franchise, who could actually give this team some hope. And that guy is going to be a guy like Malik Willis. Again, you can run it back with Tannehill, but that's going to be a perfect teacher for somebody with such a damn high ceiling like Malik Willis. He's great in the run game. And can you imagine like the options, just the RPO ability with Malik Willis, as well as, I mean, you don't even need to use Derrick Henry in the equation, but even guys like Deontay Foreman, who could like make big plays just like that. That's going to be perfect. I love Malik Willis here. His ability to move, his crazy strong arm, as well as, honestly, he's a lot more accurate than people give him credit for. This is a perfect place for him to go. I do think that with the rise of these elite quarterbacks in the AFC, you need that difference maker to actually be competitive. Otherwise, you're shooting yourself in the foot by saying, hey, we're good enough to make the playoffs, but we're not good enough to beat the guys who are there in the playoffs. Again, you got to get your difference maker. Malik Willis, I think, has the highest ceiling in this draft class at the quarterback position. Getting him at 26 is far from something to scoff at. Number 27 for the Buccaneers. This is going to be Jordan Davis. Just kidding. DeMarvin Leal. Yeah, you don't need somebody to be Vita Vea. I think that since Ndamukong Suh is going to be leaving, Will Golston obviously don't really need him. DeMarvin Leal would be a perfect guy to add in there next to Vita Vea. He's just an absolute beast, especially if he gets back to his old form. You can even use him outside. Like, there's a lot to love about the versatility of someone like DeMarvin Leal. And also, no one expects much from him because he's a guy who was supposed to be a top 5 pick, but he had a bad year. So expectations are an all-time low. If he were a top 5 pick, people would be thinking like this guy needs to produce. He has time to develop and grow and be able to impact in his own way, similar to Joe Tryon. So love it. Number 28 with the Packers. This is going to be a guy who I don't think should be here, but it's going to be Drake London. I love Drake London. He's a phenomenal player. This team desperately needs extra guys like that. He's basically going to be a much better version of MVS. He's going to be an MVS who can catch, and he's also MVS who can separate properly, be able to do really good after the catch. He's going to be a number 1 wide receiver in this NFL. And it just really depends on where you think these guys are going to go, because honestly, I love it. Also, you steal them from the Dolphins, where if I am the Dolphins here, you could look at guys like Jahan Dotson and George Pickens, and I wouldn't really blame you per se. I just don't think the value is good enough. I don't. And you have 2 firsts next year, so I think you'll be fine. But there's Matt Corral on the board. There's other players here as well. I just don't think that the value is right. You could talk about Trevor Penning to this team. I don't think they go after an offensive lineman like that, because Trevor Penning has such a high bust factor, and you don't have a mentor on that team, like, let's just say, an Andrew Thomas, to be able to give him the coaching he needs to be able to develop. Again, this is a team that has done pretty poorly in terms of developing raw talent at the offensive line position. I have no idea why people think Trevor Penning to them is just a great idea. I don't. And you can trade back, get someone like Christian Harris or Brandon Smith in the second, and then also be able to use your second rounder elsewhere as well. I think that's a better move. That's a better move overall. I think it's a good fit. And there is going to be a team. I told y'all to wait, because the Giants are moving up here. So they're going to be using a second round pick to move up for this spot. And let's see. I think that a fourth rounder should be requisite to move up 5 spots. Or no, that's 7 spots. I can't do math. I love how I'm like partially a physics major, but I can't do math. But we're going to be saying a 4th round pick to move up. People say that that's like a not valuable enough. I don't get it. 1, it's a mathematical algorithm. So it's an algorithm's fault, not me. 2, it's a 7-spot trade and you're giving up a 4th round pick. Those are very valuable. Guys go for 4th round picks all the time. But this is going to be Trevor Penning. Again, you have a solidified left tackle who can also be a right tackle if you need him to. And now you have Tyler Linderbaum. And most importantly, you talk about Spencer Brown got drafted last year to the Bills. Doesn't it make sense? I don't think that Trevor Penning is a first, but again, I think that in the real draft, he will be. Again, he's a guy with crazy potential. He's a better version of Spencer Brown. And if Spencer Brown went into the 3rd to the Bills, I know that Penning can go first to the Giants. And I didn't want to trade back and take him that high. I think it's going to be perfectly fine to take him here. Number 30, you got the Chiefs, and they are going to be rocking it out with Kingsley Nagbear out of South Carolina. Getting extra edge presence is always beneficial, especially to a team that could probably use another elite player who's not there just like 1 or 2 snaps a game. And then next we have the Bengals. Bengals. I don't see anybody worth taking here. Again, you can get Kyrie Elam or Trent McDuffie, but if you trade back, you can do somebody very similar. You can get an extra 3rd round pick, extra 4th round pick, and get someone like Kyler Gordon. You get someone like Marcus Jones, Mikael Wright in like the 3rd or 4th round, Kobe Bryant. You can get really good guys that could fit a position of need. Offensive line, I think Darian Kennard, measuring 35-inch arms, would not be too shabby as a right tackle. You look at Jamari Sawyer, Tyler Smith, Sean Ryan, these tackle guard hybrids. That'd be great for this team. You could even look at extra help on, I don't think you even need edge help, but extra help in the linebacker room. There's a lot of routes you can go. But Matt Corral's on the board, and you got to trade to somebody to get a quarterback at this point, right? Like Matt Corral's not going to fall out of the first. The Giants already moved up, and they're not Josh Rosening right now in this draft at least. But I think a certain team could move up. And it's a team that probably went crazy on me earlier. That's the Broncos. Now, I do know the Bengals have like a really weird thing where you have to give up like a 1st and a 2nd to move up like 2 spots in the 1st. So we're going to be doing the reverse process where we're going to have the Bengals trade with the Broncos. Just makes a little more sense. So we're going to see if this 3rd round pick, it says very unlikely. So it's between this 3rd and the 4th rounder. So we're going to honestly toss in, I think a 3rd rounder is going to be requisite to move up this far, but they're going to ask for a 5th in return. If it says likely, that's a good deal in general. So we're going to be sending that through, and we are going to be selecting Matt Corral for the Broncos. Again, this is a good spot to take somebody. Imagine you take Sam Howell there, and then you're stuck at your pick, and you're sitting there like, well, there's somebody who has a chance of being a number 1 corner, or like at least our number 2 guy. And like, we still have this 2nd round pick later on. Like, we're sitting here and picking guys who may or may not have an impact. Now you have a franchise style quarterback, and you have a number 1 style corner to pair up with Patrick Surtain, who's already a G. So I love it. I think that's a great spot to go. Number 32 for the Lions. I think this one is going to need to be a wide receiver. And here's why. So I know safety is a huge issue, and of course linebacker is as well. But if I think about it, I'll get Lewis Cine at number 34. Who are the Jaguars going to take here? Either an edge or a wide receiver. Of course, free agency is going to change all this. But George Pickens is here. If I'm the Detroit Lions, I want to get George Pickens as soon as possible because I don't want the Jacksonville Jaguars to scoop him up. And I think it's a phenomenal fit. To end off the 1st round, George Pickens, I love him to death. He's a big, true X wide receiver. You have Khalif Raymond, who's a good deep threat. You have Amon-Ra, ARSB. St. Brown. Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's ARSB. Yeah, you have both of those guys. That's going to be as good of a complete wide receiver core as you could ever ask for. That's the spot to go. Let me know what you guys think. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Check out tomorrow for round 2. See you on the far side. Peace.